Hey folks, welcome back to another live markets review for F45 trading. I decided this evening to make it available public to everybody so you could all check it out. Both the market analysis and sort of what I do on a regular basis, just to see if it piques any interest to you. If you're new for the very first time watching this, F45 Trading, go check us out right down here in the bottom right hand corner, f45trading.com. Hopefully you can see that. The .com is a little blocked out by my logo here, but that is a .com right there. Here, let me do this. Right there. F45trading.com. Check us out. We've got a chat room. We've got live market analysis. We've got a whole bunch of people joining us. There's a couple of analysts. A couple of us doing regular market analysis, and other lots of discussions about Forex markets. If you guys are trading Forex, you definitely want to be engrossed in the markets, and it always helps to have other people who are also doing the same thing you're doing, bounce ideas off of one another, double check people's ideas, just get another perspective on sort of what your thoughts are on the market. So it really helps. So if you haven't checked this out and you're new for the very first time, like I say, I did make this public tonight. On a very rare occasion, I'd like to do that. Go to f45trading.com, check out a whole bunch of options there. And we'll get into this here right now. I'm not going to take a lot of time. Honestly, it's going into Thursday. Next week, it's the end of the month, being where we are now 1 minute past midnight into New York time. So we are May 30th, and we've got, it's the end of the month. We've got basically one more day left. Brings us to Friday, end of the week, the 31st. And then we go next week into, obviously, non-farm week next week. So going to be limited trading as well, too. You definitely want to be in and out of the market by, early on in the market, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And typically market likes to do its own thing Thursday, and obviously NFP on Friday. It's, to be honest with you, it's been, in my opinion, fairly muted the past little while. There hasn't been any real roller coaster rides, but certainly I have witnessed events on Friday, first week of the month, where it's just been absolutely crazy. Especially when you couple it with like an FOMC event or something earlier in the week, then it gets pretty nuts. So anyway, just here's the thing about this week. I got all my trading in early in the week. Monday, Tuesday, last day trading. I didn't do any trading on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to bring up the calendar so we can all just double check. We've got Euro bank holiday, so Euro's going to be pretty quiet. Cable may do some catching up. It was in a bit of a range today. And Canadian dollar, some medium impact news event. We have prelim GDP numbers. We got an FOMC chair speaking, and then we got a governor council member speaking for the Canadian dollar late in the day, New York, for Thursday. And then Friday, Euro is going to catch back up with some all-day German prelim. Pardon me, 1 second. Sorry about that. I had a tickle in my throat. The Euro's got some prelim CPI numbers. Meeting minutes coming out on Friday, and then more Canadian dollar news, and finishing off the day with some medium impact U.S. dollar news, PMI, everything else. So Friday, we could see a little bit of activity on Friday, but for me personally, I think I'm pretty much done for the week. The markets haven't been really symmetrical this week. I'll talk about that in a minute. Wasn't really super excited about trading the markets. I didn't do a whole lot this week for that reason. I was also a little bit busy with some other stuff here as well too, so I didn't, like I said, I got all my trading out and done Monday, Tuesday of the week. So, like I say, going into next week, I'll just bring that up here real quick. Got lots of cable news, some U.S. dollar news, ISM manufacturing early next week, Australian dollar news to cap off Monday. Tuesday, more Aussie news late in the day, and this is their interest rate statements coming out Tuesday, so make sure you're aware of that. Australian dollar is doing some interesting stuff as well, too. A little bit of manipulation on it. We'll talk about that real briefly. And Euro coming out with some medium impact news events on Tuesday early morning. And then going into Wednesday, lots of, again, ADP non-farm payroll. It's non-farm week, again, so we're going to start to see all the usual news spikes. Monetary policy statement for the Euro is next week as well, too. So that one's going to be a bit of a gong show. And then going into early New York Open, we've got trade balance and then an ECB press conference. So Thursday next week for the euro for sure, and for Canadian dollar, it might get a little volatile, so you may want to watch that. And then again, going into Friday, we've got more employment, unemployment rates, average hourly earnings, and then, of course, non-farm. And so next week, Thursday, Friday, I don't think it's going to be too favorable. Definitely not in the euro, the CAD, or typical cross U.S. dollar pairs. Maybe some other markets you want to look at for Thursday and Friday if you want to trade them. Better opportunities early on in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's pretty much the news for the rest of this week, which again, pretty slow this week. I wouldn't expect a whole bunch of action. And then all the trading, again, it's going to be bulk of the action is going to be Monday to Wednesday. So early week next week again, which, you know, I'm good with that. You make all your money early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and be done and take an early long weekend. So anyway, going into the markets here, we saw obviously this entire week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, push up, and a nice big push up. The price did not hesitate for a second. Right out of the gate on Monday, closed down Friday, smashed back into this consolidation level in here, and again, just 3 straight bull candles. So we've got some levels in here that I was looking at that we had called on the daily chart. Well, I got a weekly on here, on the weekly chart I should say, but on the daily chart, we just failed last week to get up to the old lows back in here at 98.35. Price ended up coming up to 98.25, so pretty close, just missed it, but I think this week we'll probably end up pushing above there. And if it doesn't happen this week, certainly next week, I think it'll start slamming into this range in here. And there's some very, very thinly traded price over in here on the high side at 99.80, where they could, if we get decent numbers coming out next week for non-farm and ISM and everything, we could see them push up through there. Now, just keep in mind, again, we've still got these crazy trade wars going on with U.S. and China, so anything's possible. But I think that the dollar is showing some pretty decent strength in here. And in the time period where it should be lessening a bit, we're seeing it really pushing north. Albeit this past month in here, it's been a little bit sideways, but you can see a clear uptrend on the week. Hit a little bit of resistance up in where we're currently at right now, but I think, again, just with the start Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, I think Thursday it's going to do it. I think it's going to come up and cap right up into the 98.35 level and possibly beyond. It may start to work its way back up into this region here. I'm not expecting fireworks to happen and them to shoot right up to 99 levels or anything like that. I don't think that's in the cards for this week, but certainly I would like to see a nice run, clear run above last week's high, and right back up into these lows here. And then from there, honestly, I would expect a little bit of cooling off to happen. We're going to have to wait till next week for all the numbers to come out to see if that does happen. If not, and the economy is doing well in the U.S. and they release some good numbers, we could see this continue just to chug higher. And ultimately, again, we could be starting to come back up and challenging these old highs. Now, this would be a way out. I mean, this is... you know, that's pretty wishful thinking. That could be a target more towards the end of the year that maybe they might want to get up there. But you can see, you know, the highs came in end of 2016 and ran all the way down 2017, hitting the lows early in 2018. And since then, the past year, it's been going straight up. So, you know, if you look at what they're doing on the long-term range of things in the U.S. dollar, we came off of these lows down here quite aggressively with a very short retrace to check back up. And really that retrace just came back in right off of the old highs. So it's kind of like in a very, very long-term macro analysis of an expansion and a retest. And basically that's all we're looking for. And the price came right down to a perfect level in there and expanded off. And now we're chugging higher. Now, I'm not super happy with how long they're taking to get in here. We had some nice expansion early off in 2018 that expanded up quite quickly, rapidly, and since then it's really, they're just chopping this thing higher. It's taken a long time, but nonetheless it is going higher, so I would expect longer term. And again, maybe the end of the year, maybe next year, I don't know. But we could see them want to try and run above that old high in there because, again, there's lots of room to go to the upside. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're worrying about this week here, where we are right now. So I think the rest of the week, I think there's a very good chance. We finished up Wednesday's day close on a very, very strong note. And if we do get any pullback at all, I would expect them to probably come back maybe into Tuesday's high. That's about 15 pips lower than what we are. Maybe even into the 97.90 level, the old highs back in here. I would expect them to come down, retrace back into, and then potentially run higher. Or they could just do a straight shot right from current location. So really anything's game. What I don't want to see, though, is I don't want to see them lose the low of Wednesday and come all the way back down under here into Tuesday's candle. I don't think that's necessary. I think chances are, I mean, they've sort of shown their hand, and I think we're going to see more bullish activity to continue. And I would at least like to see, at the very least, like I say, that 98.35 level that I have here, this dotted line, at least get tagged out for the week. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think Thursday is a pretty good indication of where we're going to start heading. Brings us into the euro. Now the euro, so if you look at this, and this is what I didn't really like, we didn't have a ton of market symmetry. Euro USD certainly almost this of any pair, this is the most symmetrically traded, or has the most confluence, I should say, would be a better word, with the US dollar. You can see price came down, created a low here, rallied back up, came back down, and just ran that low. And I think that it came in, if you can see the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, the low came in at 111.10, and then this low here from last week came in at 111.06. So it ran that low by 4 pips, 3-4 pips on the downside, and then rejected. And now we're sitting and hovering again. And again, we had a bit, let me zoom in a little bit here for you guys. Make sure it's nice and big so you can see. And then now you can see, again, very similar to what the US dollar is doing, pushing down quite a bit. We've got a little bit to run back down into here. I'd tolerate a move back up to 111.50. Again, don't want to see it go much higher. I don't want to see it start to try and run the highs from Wednesday or anything like that. But I would expect them to continue to run back down. And let me just get this marked out on the chart. I'm going to get rid of this and put an actual line in there, so we can see it a little clearer. That low right in there, 11100. Basically, I would expect them to run. So we could have a potential 50 pip run going into tomorrow in Euro USD. I don't want to see them go any higher than 111.50. Maybe 111.60, maybe to clear out some of the areas without having to go down into too low of a time frame. I'm going to keep it on the daily just for this discussion today. But I think we're going to see 111. And you know what? Let me just get this dialed in here on that exact low. I think it was 111.06 to the downside, or 111.05. That's fine too. But I do think, again, we've got this area right in here underneath this lows here, which also coincides again with an old weekly level, very, very similar to what the US dollar is doing. I think we're going to see price punch down into there. Now, the only thing I disliked about Euro USD is what it's doing and how long it's taking. You can see an obvious clear downtrend, which was exactly what I pointed out, except the exact opposite in the US dollar. But just the nature of how they're doing it, they're really, really taking their time coming down here. Certainly, if you're anticipating further continuation of the downside, you basically just wait for a swing high, a failure swing to go short on, and then you just target the old recent low is a real simple way to do it. But these aren't big ranges. Like, we're only talking 100 pip ranges, and it takes a few weeks for them to pan out in some cases. And so if you've got a lot of patience, you can certainly trade the Euro USD profitably for sure. But I typically haven't been trading the Euro USD most of May. I just, as price was in here doing this and really sitting sideways, just really not going anywhere. You can kind of see like what I mean when I highlight this. It's just really price is just sitting sort of in this block of price action, not really going anywhere. So I kind of lost interest in the euro. I've been focusing on other markets, cable being one, US CAD being another, crude oil. and some other ones. S&P had some nice runs this week. Hopefully you guys got in on that. And that's really the other analyst that works with us here, Dave. He does a very, very excellent in-depth analysis on the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ. And as far as what Dave's been doing this week, he's just been killing it on the S&P, calling a bunch of levels. And the S&P's been a great market to trade this week, especially when, you know, FX has been a little bit slow, like I say. Sometimes Forex, it gets a little stagnant, like watching paint dry, like in here. And it's nice to have those other markets to watch, so you can, you know, still take part in the markets and still grow your account on a reasonable basis, but not have to, you know, sit for months at a time without placing a trade. Because, again, you want to wait for the trades to come to you. You don't want to chase the trades. And so if there's a favorable condition in other markets and the numbers are lining up to your style of trading, then, you know, why wouldn't you take part in those markets if they're offering it? Anyways, moving on. Euro. So again, looking for downside objectives on the euro, and I would at very least expect the 11100 level to get run out here going into tomorrow. So we're watching for that. You can kind of see the manipulation going the opposite way. Going into London Open here. Let me just move this up. So if you look at this, and what I was actually looking this week was I wanted to see bullish prices on the euro, and I'll talk about this for a second. So we had this big spike up last week to finish off the week, and really where last week opened up, we had a run down. They ran all these levels down here, and then they spiked it up at the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. I was actually looking for them to come back up and run these equal highs above here and get back up into this range in here this week. And so price was drifting down, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And I didn't take a trade on euro for this reason, but I was waiting on euro to come back down, and I was looking at 111.60 as a potential area for price to rebound. It was actually 65.60, somewhere in there. I kind of like the 60 level a little bit, but price came down there, and I honestly, I was looking at it and I was debating taking a trade. It wasn't at a very good time of the day, a little bit late in the day for me. I like to get in earlier in the day. And price took a very long time to come down. It was just kind of sitting here, and I almost triggered a trade right into this area. I'm glad I didn't, obviously, because I would have been wrong, but I was expecting price to come back up into here. I just wanted to see them rebalance lower, grab some longs, and run higher, and we obviously saw the end of the day, late day runner to the downside. So I'm glad I didn't execute that trade. And again, this is why, you know, once again, you know, I'm really not into the euro market, and I haven't been doing a lot of trades because it hasn't been reacting exactly as expected. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, this trade would have rebounded and went the other way, and today it decided to fall off. So that's why, like I say, you got to have your rules, you got to have your backup plans, and it broke one of my rules. So, you know, one of my rules when I trade personally is I wait for price to come down to a level of reflection, or a level of interest, I guess would be another word for it, and I wait. I don't instantly trigger a trade all the time, and especially in a case like this where there's a little bit of indecision, I'll wait and I'll watch price. And, you know, sometimes I'm wrong and price will take off in my intended direction and I miss the trade. It is what it is. Wait for a retracement, get in at a decent price, and then go with it if it starts to move in your favor. This case, again, it didn't do it. It violated my rule by coming down and smashing down through 111.60. Wasn't interested in the trade, and again, you saw price fall off. So anyways, long story short, again, I'd be looking for them to come back up to about the 111.50, maybe not quite. So we may see a bit of a high put in here, or even come back down and rebalance at these candles here. But I think we're going to see a push lower going into Thursday. So, and again, pound dollar, great to trade. I was trading this guy all the way down here, and price worked out wonderfully. To be honest with you, when price was up in here and we retraced, I was looking for bullish activity to continue and to run above these highs. We didn't get it. Again, you got to roll with the punches, and you got to flip and have a plan B and a backup plan when it doesn't come to fruition. So then you just wait to make sure that price, does what it's, what's the best word? Telegraphs its next move. And you can see that down here, and so you just wait to get in for the retracement and watch price drop down. And all last week got into this move here, and this week here, I honestly haven't been doing much with cable either this week, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't I was hoping that they would have rebounded off of this level here strongly, and at least tried to make an attempt to get above this high. Again, it didn't do it. So, to be honest with you, I don't know what to expect with cable. Because there is now what they could have done, again, and simply with the US dollar, they could just be running out this low here. We have a once run down, twice they reject and then push higher. Certainly could be the option, but if price doesn't want to come back any higher, then this is going to be a very slippery slope back down to get below this low down here. So for now, I'm going to be holding off on the cable. Not to mention with Brexit, oh geez, what's their premier's name? It's just or prime minister's name now. Theresa May is she's resigning. She decided to call her quits because she could not get a Brexit deal. And that's the thing is with the cable, there is so much uncertainty right now with Brexit. It's unbelievable. They're trying to do a soft exit. They don't want to do a hard Brexit exit. They don't want to do a hard Brexit. So they're trying to come up with all these deals and all these plans, and nothing's going through. And so Theresa May came in, threw up her hands, and just said, "Forget it, I'm out, I'm done. I can't handle you guys anymore. You're not voting this through." And so it's just no. I don't think anybody knows what's going on over there. And long story short, I don't want to trade a currency that has indecision at the parliamentary level or the government level, because you could see crazy price fluctuations. And if you guys weren't trading when Brexit happened, I'll just refresh your memory as to exactly what that looked like on the chart. That was this guy right here in June of 2017. I'll never forget where I was that day for whatever reason. June 19th. But, yeah, I mean, that was a 500 pip candle? Oh, I'm sorry, way more than that. It was what was it? 30, yeah, sorry, and I'm on the week too, so this is a weekly candle. I could go back to the exact day, but on the week, it was a 1,700 pip movement on the week. So again, I don't know what's going to, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, with Theresa May resigning or anything like that. But what I am saying is that this could certainly spike at any given moment. And I don't want to be part of it because, especially if it skips over my stop and gives me the next best price, it could be way off of what I want it to. And hey, if you're right and going in the right direction, great. But you could be wrong and it could crush your account. So just careful on the cable anyway going forward. But right now it's just sort of at a point. If we break below this low here, then I think there's a real good chance we're going to do something like this here. If not, then they could chop this thing sideways and let Euro USD catch up. That's that one candle right there, that one day. When was that one? This is a daily chart I'm on now. That was back in, January. I think that was a 250 pip candle. That was a 250 pip day, so we could easily get that to the downside if they want to shoot that real quick. So hold off on the cable anyway, or at least I'm going to for the next little while. And another reason is because Euro GBP, we're back to a consolidation level in Euro GBP, so this is when they manipulate the hell out of the numbers. And I think that's why we're going to see Euro USD catch up with what cable's doing, because you can see here, Euro, yeah, we had a couple of decent days here, and we had a bit of a slide here, and a nice little slide here, but really, for the most part, consolidating when compared to cable. Nice, obvious, clear-cut downtrend. Now with Euro GBP consolidating, they have basically the green light to let Euro USD go, and I think they're going to finally do it. I think they're going to let this one run a bit, at least down to this area in here for now, and we'll see what it does when it gets down there. But Euro GBP, that's and we could just continue higher for sure in the Euro GBP, which would lead to further weakness in the cable, and they could continue to consolidate euro. So I mean, don't forget, that is a possibility. But I think they're going to probably consolidate this sideways for a little bit longer before they give up on that narrative. So U.S. CAD had its interest rate monetary policy news release today, or Wednesday, I should say. and the Bank of Canada rate statement is what I was looking for, and it was nothing changed. I mean, it was as expected. Canada's been keeping their interest rates about the same, 1.75% for the past little while, and that was to be expected. They definitely aren't increasing interest rates. Canada, like a lot of other countries, is teetering on the brink of recession. It's a very, very slippery slope, especially with the current government that they have in place. So last thing they're going to do is start increasing interest rates. And so what you're going to see with that as a result is higher prices on US CAD. Is really what it's going to happen, what's going to boil down to. And I was actually really hoping that they would have jumped up to 135.65 that I have here. We fell short today, and price only managed to get up to 135.45, so it was about 20 pips lower than my anticipated goal. I got a long last week. Actually, one of the guys in our chat room today, he asked, because I posted a chart, I got long on US CAD way down here last week. It was Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. It was last Tuesday. I was expecting them to run these lows here. It's exactly what it did. I got a long entry down, way down here, like not exactly the low. It was about 15 pips off the low. Price smashed up, and it went all the way up into here, and then price came down here and closed down in here on Friday. And I was cleaning up some positions. I wanted to leave my trade on until it hit this target up in here, and I accidentally closed the wrong position. I was closing up and cleaning up some oil trades and some S&P trades from last week, and with MT4, one of the stupid things, I accidentally clicked the wrong line item, the wrong X. And if you trade MT4, I'm sure we've all made that mistake before. It wasn't a big deal. It's not like it was a big position or anything like that, but kind of made me mad. But anyway, I knew it was going to keep going higher, run above these highs here. We got that on Wednesday. And again, with continuation higher on the US dollar, I'm expecting at the very least this level up here to get run out. So I'll be looking for that going into Thursday. And that's really all there is on US CAD. If we see higher prices on US dollar, we should see US CAD start to run up above these highs here. It's just a matter of time. And you can see, again, very clear-cut uptrend there. And, I mean, they're just taking, kind of like the euro, they're really taking a long time to do it. US CAD has not been offering great setups lately, but when you see something like this happen, great setup, get all over it. Just watch them. Again, I don't trade in these types of consolidation levels until you get manipulation like that, where it runs all of those clean levels under there. And it's very obvious, and then you get long and you ride it up, and it's a swing trade. That's what I was trying to do. Accidentally closed the wrong position. Is what it is. No big deal. But yeah, like I say, like euro and CAD and things like that, just been going straight sideways for the past couple of months. Anyway, you can see, this month was sideways, this month was sideways, and now most of May's been sideways. Not exciting to trade, but every now and then it gives you a little, gem in there amongst all the garbage, and you can take advantage of them and hold for higher prices. So that's what I was looking at on US CAD. And again, I'm looking for higher prices going into close up this week. Once I think we hit up into this level here, I would imagine we'll get a noticeable reaction and we could come back down again. How low it goes, I don't know. I mean, it could come all the way back down to here. I got some paraphernalia on here I'll get rid of, but 134.75 I'd be looking for. If we ever got an area of resistance up here, I'd look for them to break price back down and see if they want to hold it at that level, then potentially hold out for a bounce, and maybe we can get above those highs there. So we'll see what happens. UJ, nothing to talk about here. I'm hoping they're going to close this gap up here, and so far price hasn't been doing anything to support that. US dollar's making new highs, about to make new highs. UJ not doing that, so again, not correlated. I made a post earlier in the chat room about that. I said, really, the markets this week have been ugly. US dollar, is in a clear uptick. Euro, USD is running down. So this one is about the only pair that's very similar. Not very big ranges. Again, not huge ranges. Like this entire week, it's been 80 pips. Usually, you get about a day range out of 80 pips on euro. So very slow to go anywhere. Cable not really doing anything. Euro GBP consolidating. US CAD again still consolidating, although now going to the upside. UJ not doing anything, and then Australian dollar is actually going the opposite way it should be going. This should be going down. Now, if you guys are just joining us now, I mentioned in the very beginning of this session, next week is the Australian dollar rate announcement coming up on, I believe it was Tuesday of next week. I got it right here. ISM manufacturing, retail sales, and then you can see here we have the cash rate and the RBA rate statement on Tuesday. So we're going to see the Australian dollar move a little bit next week, and I think that's clearly why they're sitting sideways until that news. So we're not going to see any more action on Australian dollar, but I would imagine if we see US dollar running higher, you can see what's sitting below these guys right here, and I think there's a real good chance. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're going to continue the downside and we're going to run out this low here, but I definitely think a sharp move lower and a clearing of these levels here is going to be in order for next week. So I'm going to be watching that like a hawk going into next week, especially with NFP coming up next week. You really got to pick and choose what you're watching. I think this could be a pretty straightforward trade. I'm hoping it is anyway. I want to wait and see how the end of this week closes up, but I'd like to see them continue to drift this higher and then have that rate announcement on Tuesday, drop it and sink down below these lows here. What it does from there, again, it could reject, it could turtle soup, run higher, it could continue lower. I don't know, but I definitely think it's going to spike lower underneath here next Tuesday for that news event. So we'll wait and see on that guy. And I don't necessarily want to go too much more detail on FX for today. I just kind of want to do a real quick recap and finish up with crude oil. By the way, for our members, tomorrow I'm going to sit down. I was talking about copper today in the chat room. Tomorrow I'm going to do a bit of a market review, very similar to what I did with crude oil last weekend. I'm going to do that on copper. I'm just going to do a full analysis, a full walk down on everything on copper, where we're at, why we're there, what led us up to here, the news, the economic turmoil, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to do all of that, the seasonals, the COTs, the whole kit and caboodle on tomorrow, and I'll post that to our members so you guys can watch that. So if you're not a member of F45 Trading, again, shameless plug, check us out right down here, f45trading.com. Sign up, and again, if you trade copper or any other commodities, I'll do that from time to time. And I wanted to end the topics here today, or the session today, talking about crude oil. So I called this level down here. We swept down underneath these lows, tagged that up once, twice, and then they had a real brief shallow retracement, and then Wednesday's trading smashed price down again, clearing all those levels, and so the high on Wednesday was 59.10, and the low came in at 56. I call it 90. That's huge. That's a big $2 plus movement on crude oil. So a lot of manipulation happening on crude oil right now, and rightly so. Look where we're at. I mean, we're turmoil city right now in these trade wars, and really the outcome of all of these tariffs, if they start imposing, if the U.S. and China start going tit for tat on tariffs, it is going to crush oil. It's going to take a beating. Lots of levels down here, and that's why I've got them identified on the chart where they're going to run price to the downside if they do. We've got an old low right here. We've got a couple of relative equal lows there. We've got some inefficiency over here, and then we're right back down to the lows of 2018 again. I'm not saying they're going to get all the way down there. I really hope they don't. I am long-term bullish crude oil, but with all the turmoil and all the trade wars and everything going on, anything's possible. And we all knew, I called this high up here, and I called this low down here. So where we're at from right now, again, I did a full analysis on the weekend. We're going to have to wait and see a bit on it, but don't be surprised if there's further downside. I do, however, like this candle. I really like this candle. This candle's a good sign. To me, it makes this seem like they did a stop run, they ran the lows, and now we're going to see higher prices. Price has to get above 60.05 to the upside. I would honestly even say, to be really safe, to the upside, even up into high 60s, low 61s. To basically to confirm that price, this was the low, and then we're going to see higher prices. So that's what I'm looking for. If this was the low here on Wednesday, and again, I didn't trade crude oil, nothing like that yesterday. Got involved in a little move in here early in the week, but I'm waiting for further confirmation. If this is the low, great. They came down, came into an obvious level, ran the stops here, jammed back in this consolidation level, brief retracement, one more time for good measure to clear out anybody who was long and had a tight stop, and then they're just going to run this price higher. Now, if we come in on Thursday here, and we start sinking lower, and we start to get down, and I'm going to go down to, if we start getting down lower on crude oil, then, come on, give me this line here. Love it when MT4 does this. This doesn't give you these trend lines. There we go. If we see price come down lower than this line right here, and I'll put a price tag on it, 58, you know what, I'll even say 58.10. I'll give it a little bit of room for error. But if we start trading down lower than 58.10, very good chance that this was not the low, and we're going to see price run lower. If they come back down and rebalance, and we see price shoot off of this level, they're going to run this thing higher, and I think my target on the end of the week is probably going to be somewhere up in the neighborhood of about 62. That's kind of where I'm looking at. So basically these old lows back in here is where my target would be. So that's just kind of down and dirty what I want to see on crude oil, but I'm not making a move on crude until we get further confirmation. And main reason being, again, crude, it can whip you out of the market in a big hurry. If you get a fast runner, like you can see here, a week and a half ago, I mean, this thing moved. If you were on the wrong side of this, that thing moved $4 in a day. Again, one contract, if you're not familiar with how this market works, one contract is over $10. I mean, per cent essentially is what I'm talking about. Per cent or per tick, essentially. And I mean, if you are trading, God forbid, you're not trading without a stop, but if you ever did, I mean, that would be an account crusher. That'd be like a $40,000 loss. It's gigantic. You don't want to get in a move on that, on the wrong side. So again, crude can move quick, but if you're in on the right way and it does go in your favor, and you do get these moves, that's what you're looking for. And so what I want to see from here is very fast price action, very quick movement. I don't want to see stagnant movement like this, or like this. I want to see a quick move back down, recheck off of this 58.10 level, and then a quick expansion higher. That's exactly what I want to see going into finishing off this week. So we'll see if we get it. If we don't, then I'm going to be bearish on for the next foreseeable future, I guess, on crude oil until very least until these trade wars start subsiding. Because until that's done, it's anybody's guess. Except I knew exactly what it was going to do in here. So really, everyone else is guessing. I knew exactly what it was going to do, right down to the level. But again, today surprised me. I wasn't expecting. I was hoping that they would have ran up and they came down and jammed it down one more time for good measure. Didn't anticipate that one. But I'm sure whoever was on this side of the move knew exactly what they were doing. But that's clear manipulation in my opinion. The other thing that could happen as well too, they could just keep running. So if we don't go lower than this low here, we could just keep on pushing higher. And they'll do that sometimes, and they won't let you get a chance to get in. They'll just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. and all the way up, you're saying to yourself, man, I should get in, I should get in, I should get in. Oh, I should have got in, I should have got in. And then you look at the end of the day and it finishes way up here. Like, man, I had the entire day's range. This thing just moved $3. Could have got in the entire time. Didn't do it because you don't know where the top is or where it's going to reverse. One of those things. So you got to have your rules and stick to them with trading. So anyway, guys, that is it for me. I just want to do a real quick session. I went a little bit longer than what I wanted to. I apologize. Thanks for sticking with me. Again, I do not make these free or to the public very often, once in a blue moon. So if you are seeing this for the first time, do yourself a favor. Go down and check us out at f45trading.com and check out our website, because I think if you're an avid trader, there's going to be something there for you to check out and going to make you very happy. For our members, I will be back in tomorrow, and hopefully you guys got a hold of Dave's trade earlier today on the S&P that he was talking about, because that was a great setup. And I will be back in the chat room tomorrow, posting charts as usual, and then Dave will finish up the week on Friday like he normally does, and off to a new week, NFP week next week, so make sure you get all your trading in early. And again, I didn't get a weekly review in this week because of the Memorial Day weekend and bank holidays all over the place, so I apologize, but I will definitely get a weekly review in for you guys on Sunday, as I always do, going into this weekend 100%. So you can watch for that. So thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate that, and we'll catch up in the next one.